Jason. It is once again time for Husker Chat. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. We are joined by Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online. Nebraska looks to bounce back this week at home against Northwestern. Sean, nobody was happy with how the game turned out last Friday night. What was that like being up in the Twin Cities, being front and center for that one?
Yeah, a loss, Jason, was always a possibility. I mean, it was definitely not a game that was a guaranteed win, but I don't think anybody predicted a loss like that, where seemingly it was a 7-6 game in the third quarter, and you punt the ball down to the 2-yard line, and you're like, all right, short field, and you'll get the ball back, take the lead. And then Minnesota goes 98 yards, and then it's like Nebraska just quit. I mean, their offensive line struggled all day. They just didn't have any balance. The offense and their defense couldn't get off the field. So it was kind of a combination of everything, but disappointing that Nebraska wasn't up to the challenge that was needed to win a Big Ten road game.
The issues up front on both the offensive and the defensive side of things, it's been brought up in the past. It's been brought up a lot this week. How much do you think, how quickly they could try to get this solved? Because the blueprint is there right now on how to beat Nebraska.
Yeah, and I think some of the concerns we had in the beginning of the year, they were small up front on defense, that teams could run on them. They didn't necessarily have an elite pass rushing unit. They had a couple pieces, but not a full complement. Then on offense, they didn't have a lot of running back depth after Emmett Johnson. Well, all of those things have kind of played out. And then the one that was probably not as predictable was the offensive line. With the veterans that they have on this line, I don't think anybody could have predicted this type of play early on. I just think the line was set up to be much better than what we're seeing, and that's probably as big of a disappointment. At the same time, can Dana Holgerson maybe push a few different buttons to help this line out? I think that's what you'll probably see this week when they take on Northwestern.
Was this team distracted last week by all of the Matt Rule and Penn State talk?
I mean, you can say they were. I think the bottom line is they just didn't come out with the type of intensity and focus that you need to win a road game. And this type of talk happens all around the country with coaches everywhere. Lane Kiffin's dealing with it right now at Ole Miss with Florida, and you can go down the line and find examples. So I don't think you can say, oh, it was because of the opening at Penn State. I just think it's hard to win A, on the road in the Big Ten, B, back-to-back weeks on the road, which hasn't been done in 20 years at Nebraska, and then C, the focus level you need to win on the road. All these coaches in the Big Ten make $6 to $10 million, head coaches. There are no free gifts when coaching staffs are paid like Big Ten staffs are now. So to play on the road, it's very much like the NFL. I mean, the Carolina Panthers can beat anybody on your off day, and the Big Ten, in some ways right now, the parity is very similar to what we see on Sundays.
It is tough, though, to see Nebraska be owned by PJ Fleck, of all people.
Yeah, 8-1 against Nebraska, which is 7-1 or 8-1. I think it's 7-1.
It's too many.
And I went back and looked at the point spreads. Nebraska's been favored in 4, and Fleck's been favored in 4. In that run, he's had a couple of teams that were really good, that were ranked. But you're right. I mean, this one, the 2021 is still one where, Frost was nearly a 10-point favorite, and they were coming off COVID, where they had a bunch of players out, and they came into Lincoln and hammered Nebraska, or not hammered them, but beat them by one score, like everybody did that year. So, yeah, Fleck has their number for whatever reason. It's almost another version of what Iowa's done to Nebraska over the same period of time.
All right, so they try to put that one in the rearview mirror and flush it. Northwestern comes to town, and quietly under the radar after a slow start, David Braun has the Wildcats playing some pretty good football.
Yeah, we kind of all just threw them out the window after their loss to Tulane to open the year. But since that loss, they've come around, and their only loss has been to Oregon. What they've done is run the football. I mean, they're going to run it about 40 times a game. They're going to get about 200 rushing yards a game. And if you do that, you're going to win a lot of Big Ten games because you control the line of scrimmage, you control the pace of play and the clock. And that's what Northwestern will do. What really jumps out to me about how they run, Jason, is they get a lot of yards after contact. They average 4 yards per carry after contact. So they can take that 2nd and 9 into 2nd and 5. And that's the key. Can Nebraska tackle and play the run at a much better level against a team that has a very good run scheme. In fact, it's the old South Dakota State offensive coordinator, and they had great success there when he's running the same stuff down in Northwestern right now.
When I looked at their numbers, they're very good in time of possession. Their quarterback play hasn't been great, but it almost looks like they've kind of decided to go with this Iowa light or Minnesota light way of just trying to hang around with people into the fourth quarter and figure out a way to win.
Yeah, they play a shell defense, kind of like Cincinnati, where they're not going to allow big plays. They run the football. They try to stop the run, and they play smart. Now, Preston, their quarterback Stone has turned it over. He had the 4 picks in the opener. He's got 7 picks on the year. He's put the ball on the ground 5 times as well. So they are turnover prone, and I think that's a key. Nebraska's defense, Jason, has not forced a turnover the previous 2 weeks.
Well, hopefully that changes Saturday morning and early Saturday afternoon at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, they need 11 a.m. start. You got to kind of bring your own juice, and it will be a grumbly crowd if this team gets off to a slow start. A lot of scowls and arm crossing, so you better come out and play hard, get the crowd in this game right away.
And also Northwestern traditionally has usually come into Lincoln and played pretty good football.
No doubt. I mean, you go back to the very first year they played in the Big Ten, 2011. Nebraska was ranked as a highly ranked team in the top 10, and they beat Nebraska. So Northwestern has always proven to kind of play above their weight class when they're not supposed to. But then we've seen Nebraska obviously beat them in situations where they've been pretty good.
Well, it should make for an interesting day on Saturday in Lincoln. Sean, as always, we appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks, Jason.
And that was Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online, joining us on Husker Chats, brought to you by Acres Equipment. We are here every week. I'm Jason Jorgensen.